Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I would like to present about my final year research project 1, Hazardous Area Classification for Powder Milk Processing Plant. My name is Muhammad Nabil bin Iskandar, and my supervisor is Cik Muhammad Aizat bin Ahmad. So this is my slide content. First of all, there is objective, problem statement, scope research, literature review, methodology and expected result. This is my objective for this final year project research. First of all, my main objective is to identify hazardous area in the plant, including its equipment, sources and process use. And the other objective is to classify area based on zone and identify potential explosion using IECX standard. This is my problem statement for this research project. 1. Dust explosion usually occur in various unit operation, including mills, grinders, dryers, and other mode of transport. Dust explosions have been recorded as a large number of accidents in industry since 1785, leading to a significant injury, fatality, destruction of equipment, and loss of property. There was an accident at the grain storage and milling plant somewhere in Lumut, Perak, on 17 March 2008, which caused 4 fatalities and provided ambulatory care for 2 workers. It was discovered during the forensic investigation at the plant that they were doing some hot work involving electrical arc welding on the day of the accident in the silo tower pit. The welding was placed on one of the transfer line of grain between the interconnected conveyor and the elevator in the silo tower. 2 elevators of the 4 elevators in the silo tower were installed on that day to move the raw grains from the silos to the other parts of the building. It is highly believed that the explosion, accompanied by a blinding flashlight observed by the staff in the plant's control room, originated from the basement level, causing extensive damage to the silo tower facility. The scope research for my final year project is the main scope of my research is to identify the hazardous area in the plant, including its equipment, sources, and process use. I will make the zone classification by referring IECX standard. The classification will be distributed into 3 zones, which is Zone 20, Zone 21, and Zone 22. Zone 20 is a hazardous atmosphere formed by dust cloud in air such as continuously, frequently, and dust layer may be formed. For the Zone 21 is a hazardous atmosphere formed by dust cloud in air is likely to occur in normal operation, but not frequently and only for short period. Layers of combustible dust will in general be present. For the Zone 22 is a hazardous atmosphere formed by dust cloud in air is not likely to occur in normal operation. So then for a short period only. Accumulation and layers of combustible dust are present. My research will be focusing on the dust explosion that could occur in powder mill plant. The area classification will be drawn in PNID of the plant. Literature review. I have made some literature review for my finding for my final research project 1. First of all, I need to focus more on the dust explosion that occur in the world. First of all, from Sogyu Park, from Korea, 53 combustible dust had been found and flammable solid related fire explosion from 1984 to 2018 in South Korea were reported. From Muhammad Azimi Ahmad, 2017, he had made research and state that one of the rim manufacturer factory at Pulau Pinang, Malaysia, was burned down due combustible dust explosion from the polishing activity in making rim. The impact during the accident have been caused injury towards 8 workers and the factory area was destroyed. Mark Shannon 2016 state that 2000 dust explosion occur in factories and refineries in Europe. 24% of those recorded dust explosion usually occur in the food industry. Rolf K. Eichhoff 2016 state that dust sample with a given overall chemical composition may differ widely in particle size, particle shape, and particle surface reactivity. To know the dust explosion characteristic. And from Irenaeus Rogala 2015, from his research, he had explained about the zone 20, zone 21, and zone 22 for hazardous area classification for combustible dust. Olivier Leroy 2014 state that dust settlement creates additional problem where good housekeeping is not practiced. Process industry powders capable of generating an explosive dust cloud are commonly charged to process vessel either directly by hand or by using some form of mechanical assistant. And from G. Vijayaraghavan 2011, all explosible dust may be combustible because it will burn in air, but not all combustible dust are explosible. For example, anthracite and graphite are not explosible, although they have high heats of combustion. This is my methodology for my research project. First of all, I need to know the hazard identification. Hazard identification is required to identify what are the substances in the environment to be classified and their features. For this purpose, it can be identified whether the material is combustible for the purpose of assessment of ignition source and determine the material characteristics such as particle size, moisture content, cloud and layer, minimum ignition temperature and electrical resistivity and appropriate dust group. For building and equipment layout review, we need to equipment layout is one of the most important deliverable of a piping department. It shows the location and placement of all equipment in a particular process or utility area along with various type of access and maintenance area. Next, identification of potential release source. This section is necessary to conduct as it gives a review to identification of potential release sources in the certain equipment or layout of the plant. It is easily to verifying the opportunity to eliminate or reduce them as much as possible. Next is the estimation of the leakage or release duration. We need to know the sources of the leakage that could cause dust explosion to occur, and we need to know how long does the release take before the dust explosion occur. Next is the ventilation effectiveness evaluation. The sources of emission should be evaluated and evaluate the possible safety measure need to consider as to reduce or eliminate the hazard in the plant. We need to follow the standard for area classification and consequently for consideration about the necessary ventilation in a plant's defined zone, concern the hazardous area classification for the presence of combustible dust. This standard indicate the principle for the scientific evaluation of ventilation degree. Next, for the class division, rating and documentation, we need to know the extent of a zone for explosive dust atmosphere, defined as the distance in any direction from the edge of a source of dust release to the point where the hazard associated with that zone is considered to no longer exist. Explosive dust atmosphere from a dust cloud would normally be deemed not to exist if the dust concentration is suitable safety margin less than the minimum dust concentration required for an explosive dust atmosphere to exist. Consideration should be given to the fact that fine dust can be carried from a source of release by air movement within a building. Where the classification gives rise to small unclassified area between classified areas, the classification should be extended to the full area. For the zone 20, zone 21 and 22, we need to redraw the plan layout with this classification area. We need to mark the plan layout with zone 20, zone 21 and zone 22. So this is the mark that should be drawn back in the plan layout for zone 20, zone 21 and zone 22. This is the design that we should draw to classify the hazard area classification. So for the expected result, this is the plan layout that we should redraw in the AutoCAD. In using AutoCAD software, we can see that we need to mark all the zone 20, zone 21 and zone 22 to know the hazard area for the equipment and for the plan layout. This is also one of the example for our expected result. We can see that the equipment had been drawn with the hazard area classification mark for zone 20, zone 21 and zone 22. So that's all for my presentation for research project 1 titled Hazardous Area Classification for Powder Milk Plant. That's all. Thank you.